I used to do lunch there when I have a bad day here in Virginia Beach and working at my office in Town Center.
Sure.
I would literally drive to Cape Charles to have lunch at one of the restaurants and just decompress. Because the moment you cross that bridge and you get to the end, it's like you're in a whole nother world. You actually think you've gone way out of town.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in another place altogether, but you only driven 35 minutes.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm Joseph Trahan, your host for the #1 video podcast in Virginia, where we explore the rich history, vibrant culture, and iconic businesses that make our Commonwealth truly special and worth talking about. So get ready as together we discover Virginia. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today's episode is going to be one truly for the books. We're diving into the incredible story, vision, adventure, and reinvention with my guest, Eric Hawkins, co-owner of Explore Cape Charles Tiny Living. Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
We are so pumped to have you. Now, if you've ever dreamed of simplifying your life or maybe just dipping your toe in what a simple life and a tiny home looks like, this conversation is for you. Eric and his wife, Sylvia, have been living the tiny lifestyle for over 14 years, traveling the country, running their business and an RV, carrying them through their next vision board journey, which stops off in the beautiful town of Cape Charles, Virginia. We're about to hear how a simple detour and led to a life-changing discovery and how their love for the Eastern Shore turned into a thriving business and a dream come true, and one that can be a part of your dreams as well. Eric, you ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
Perfect. All right, Eric, let's start with the big picture. You and Sylvia, your wife, have been married for over 30 years, have 3 children, and you've been coming to Cape Charles for over 2 decades.
Yes.
But before we get into the tiny home part, tell me a little bit about how your journey together has evolved through the years. Because I understand you guys weren't always tiny home folks. You were living in a big house. Pick us up from that conversation from there.
So we used to live not too far from your studio here in Lynn Haven. Our home was roughly about 3,000 square feet. And my wife and I built that house when I was 20 years old.
Wow.
We had that house built. We started building that house probably about 3 months after my wife and I got married.
Yeah.
And it was an accomplishment that I felt like was, everything that my parents taught me to do, I'm doing it. And imagine waking up in a house and all your neighbors have children your age. Every morning I would get up and look at my parents, and it made me feel great. But as it went along, we started to realize that the life that we built for ourselves wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Because we had owned a hair salon, day spa and fitness center down at the oceanfront. I owned a heating and air conditioning company. And my wife and I, when we began our relationship and our marriage, we were like 2 peas in the pod, always together for the most part. But our businesses, our life, our home began to just suck us of everything, of our relationship and everything. And what I found was the best way I could put it is we were like 2 ships passing in the night. Mm. And we were just not happy. Now, we didn't voice it. We just sort of kind of felt it our own little way that this wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Wow, what a detour! Because, the great examples of the American dream, but we can use something similar of like just building the life that you want when you're young and full of energy and maybe a little bit too naive, but that's okay because we figured it out along the way. And then this journey almost split into 2 separate paths for you and Sylvia. And ships in the night. That's such a great example. But you guys didn't just stop there. You didn't just say, oh, well, this is life. You wanted to change it, and you hit the reset button. So you sold the house?
Well, we rented the house out.
Okay.
We rented the house out, and we moved in to our RV.
Okay.
Right here at KOA Campground in Virginia Beach.
How big's your RV?
It was like 200 square feet.
So 3,000 square feet, 200 square feet.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was a lot going on in the middle I could tell you about, but we only got but so much time. But here it is. I own the heating and air conditioning company. My wife owns a hair salon, and I'm now living in a KOA campground. And my employees were like, Mr. Hawkins, do we need to cash our checks now?
Oh,
because you're living in a campground.
Yeah.
And I said, look, guys, I need you to understand something. I did this because I wanted to save myself, save my family, and see if I can turn the page on something. I want to see if I can discover something on the other side. And the only way I can do it is get my feet wet.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking how old you are when you and Sylvia had kind of made this transition from home to now RV?
I'm in my 30s somewhere. Yeah, it's been a blur, but we've been doing
okay.
it.
That's okay.
I'm 54 now, so I'm roughly about 15 years now.
Yeah, I want to highlight that because a lot of our listeners and our guests are on the older side, what I like to call their second life in Virginia Beach. Right. So regardless of your age, this is a part of life that doesn't matter what age you are.
It doesn't.
You can do it when you're ready, right?
And I just felt like, you see the stuff on television, people doing certain things. It's not all real.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility.
Sure.
I wanted what I saw other people doing. And my wife and I were just working nonstop. But it looked good on the outside. It just didn't feel good on the inside.
Sure. The life of owning your own business, working, living in the house you built.
Yes.
So you guys decided to change it. You started the RV life and you started traveling about. Mm-hmm. And I know one of the places that you mentioned frequenting a lot was Cape Charles.
Yes.
In the Eastern Shore.
Yes.
For those not familiar with Cape Charles and the Eastern Shore, first off, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real, what is it like? And can you tell us about the teleportation of the bridge tunnel that leads you there?
It's like you're going into another world.
Yeah.
When I used to do lunch there, when I have a bad day here in Virginia Beach and working at my office in Town Center,
sure,
I would literally drive to Cape Charles to have lunch at one of the restaurants and just decompress. Because the moment you cross that bridge and you get to the end, it's like you're in a whole nother world. You actually think you've gone way out of town. Yeah. You feel like you're in another place altogether, but you only driven 35 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bars on your phone drop, and it's like
even better.
Yeah,
even better.
So I'd like to talk next about how this business transition came about, because you guys both, you and Sylvia, still had the entrepreneurial spirit and drive because you wanted to own your own business. You still wanted to create something. And like you said, you built something with your hands and you wanted to do that again. So tell me about the day that you guys first discovered the abandoned tiny home lot, and what was that experience like? Because I can only imagine us in our lives of doing something day to day and it's just the mundane or it's just the average, and then something mysterious or interesting happens that completely changes the trajectory of your life.
That was that day.
What was that day like?
So normally we go to Cape Charles, we come down 13, and we make a left into Cape Charles.
Yeah.
This particular day, we decided to turn right because we like getting lost. We like discovering new things. And as we didn't even make it a quarter mile down this road when my wife said, stop the RV. I was like, okay, what's going on? I look to my left and I see what looked like a bunch of little sheds and whatnot. And I don't think I can do it justice, my description. But most of them was covered with trees and weeds.
And you have some pictures on your website. It looked like a weird, like faded white village.
Oh yeah.
Weird. Like I wouldn't stop. Like it'd just be like, what is that?
Here's the reason why we stopped. We have a vision board, and if anyone knows what a vision board is, you take your goals and put them to pictures.
Right.
Our vision board exists on our phones as screensavers on our computers, things of that nature. And in the RV, our vision board was above the visor and on the refrigerator. So we always saw these goals that we had. One of the goals was to have a tiny house village, to introduce people to the tiny living lifestyle. Although we didn't live in a tiny house, we were living tiny in an RV. We had this goal, we put it in the vision board, we prayed on it, and we just kept it in our minds all the time.
Yeah.
And to ride past it, had we not had that vision board, had my wife not stopped me, we would have passed it because the vision board gave that moment credence. We actually looked at our vision board and saw that and says, we can make that into this.
Yeah.
And it was that moment that was like, okay, my wife calls me husband. So that's my name, you know. And she goes, husband, I want that. And that's it. That was the end of the discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. It was no for sale sign, none of that stuff. Yeah. And through some friends in Cape Charles who knew the owner of the property, because this is during COVID when the court systems were down and so on and so forth, we were able to reach the owner and make an offer to buy the property.
Wow. With the timing of everything, I have to imagine that it would be really easy to create excuses for yourself of, it's COVID, it's abandoned, we might not know. But above all of that, you were like, hey, this is our dream. This is our vision board. Mm-hmm. It's meant to be. Like, we're just going to chase whatever that next yes looks like, right?
I think I don't think I know.
Yeah.
A vision board gives you more strength to move forward when you have or see your dream or you see the opportunity. A pastor of mine years ago used to say this all the time. He says, opportunity knocks on your door more often than you give it credit for. You're just not in a position to open the door or recognize it. And we spend a lot of time walking past opportunities and you don't recognize them. So one of the prayers I like to say is, odd prayer, is that, dear Lord, allow me to see what other people can't. It's a simple little prayer because we walk past opportunities all day, every day.
So this prayer and this mentality really shaped your perspective for the next part, which was actually buying the lot and building on what looked like an abandoned lot. There was trash and overgrown trees and things like that.
Oh, man.
It wasn't pretty.
No, one house we didn't even know was there. One house we didn't even know was there.
Yeah. And so what were some of the biggest challenges you guys faced along the way, and how did you overcome them? Because this sounds like, permission to speak freely?
Please.
This sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It can be. It was.
How did you navigate it?
During this process of going tiny, renting our tiny house out, being a farm kid, my wife owning a hair salon, we had experience figuring things out.
Yeah.
When budgets were tight, we didn't plan, we improvised.
Right.
I'll give you a prime example. During COVID, 2x4s were normally, $3-4? Well, during COVID, it was 13. So I had to get very creative and utilize wood that was already on site. But then we realized very quickly, repurposing stuff that was already old on something that's already old or repurposing it for something different just made the place have more character.
Yeah. So
instead of spending tons of money on new wood, we took down a barn on the property that was about, about 50% of it was just in bad shape.
Yeah.
The rest of the material in that barn was good shape, and we used that material to rebuild a lot of stuff there, thus keeping our costs down.
How long had that lot been sitting abandoned before you guys started working on it?
Ooh, it's hard to say, man. We know that it was built in 1939. We believe it had been vacant for probably about 40 years.
Wow. So 40-year-old wood, or no,
older.
I mean, we're talking like, was that almost 90-year-old wood.
Yes. Which, had it been our new stuff, it wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be here at all. Once I started digging into it, we started to find out that the bones were still very good.
Yeah.
Most people expected me to bulldoze them down, but the more we dug into them, the more we realized, I think my wife and I felt like we could save these.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, Michael here from Behind the Camera. Right now we're taking a quick break to acknowledge and thank our wonderful studio host, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. When it comes to getting information and guidance on financing your next home purchase, we recommend talking with Atlantic Bay. They are one of the original lending institutions in our home city of Virginia Beach, and have a long resume of getting the job done well and making your home buying experience more enjoyable. So, if you're looking to experience Virginia full-time, consider checking them out today at www.atlanticbay.com. Disclosure: loan programs may change at any time with or without notice. Information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. All loans subject to income verification, credit approval, and property appraisal. Not a commitment to lend. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal housing lender. And now, back to today's show.
That's incredible. That is so incredible. And your vision for this tiny home village, motel, escape wasn't just about the physical property either. It was about creating an experience for other people to enjoy. And I'd love to talk about the community impact next, because it is something that, quite frankly, is unique to the U.S. I mean, a tiny home motel, it's one of the first of its kind in the United States. And I know prior to us trying to get you on the schedule, you're like, hey, I'm doing an interview here. I'm there. I'm retelling the story. I'm like, Eric, please, we'll make it worth your time. We'll bring you snacks.
I love snacks.
How has building this tiny home getaway not only impacted the Cape Charles community, but also the way in which you see community in the larger sense of your social media presence and also your ability to impact people you might not have ever even met before?
So that's interesting. The community, that's why I love Cape Charles. If you can think of a Hallmark movie, I live it all day, every day. People come by, they knock on the door. Hey, how you doing? I didn't see you in church this weekend, this Sunday, and just want to check up on you. We get a phone call, you're okay. We have fishermen that certain catches that they bring in, if they didn't sell it that day, hey, Eric, you want a bushel of oysters? You want a bushel of clams? Here you go. It's that down home stuff you dream about on television. Yeah. I actually live it. And, this is the America I live in. And I'm proud to be there. I really am.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you sharing this as well, because, you turn on the TV and you see all kinds of stories and all kinds of narratives. And that's one of our goals at Discover Virginia is, whether you're a local or a tourist alike, to go out and discover Virginia and discover these stories like yours that a lot of people share, and they may not be on the other side of that vision board yet, but they may be looking at it and thinking about it and praying on it or hoping for it. This is just another nudge to keep going, right?
It is.
In the meantime, come and check out Eric and his tiny home community along with Sylvia. I know, I definitely want to cover and highlight maybe some of the main rooms that folks can partake in or visit in. And then, of course, we can dive into the red room as well, because that was a fun one. Sound good?
We made some changes to the red room, but I'll bring you up to speed with that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So what can guests expect when they come in and book a stay with you all?
They will expect, what they'll receive, that's why I say it like that.
Yeah, what should they receive?
They'll receive an experience like the door slamming to a screen door. The experience of sitting on a porch and actually listening to birds. An experience to sit around a fire pit and meet people you haven't met before. The experience of running in the 4 acres and just walking around peacefully. It is an experience. It is the temperature, I would say it like this. When you get a breeze off the Atlantic Ocean, and then we have a breeze off the Chesapeake Bay, I tell you what, it makes me stand still sometimes and just take it all in. You get that salt smell, you get the ocean smell, you get Chesapeake Bay. It is amazing experience. And to I have a lot of guests that will come to our place, sit in the morning and sit there, drink their cup of tea or coffee, and they'll comment, the birds are loud here. And I said, no, they're the same everywhere. You just have more stuff that drowns them out.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, I did not know the birds chirp that early in the morning. They normally do, but we don't have the traffic you guys have over here. So people talk about, and I think one of the bigger stories I like to tell is one day I was out there putting door closures on my screen doors, and one of my guests came up to me and goes, hey, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm making the screen doors close a little quieter. He goes, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, what's going on? Every time that screen door slams, I go back 50 years in my childhood because this was our alarm system. And so many people enjoy that.
Yeah.
So many people enjoy that. See, being vintage tiny houses are unique. Not unique back then in the 30s. There was nothing unique. But today, it just takes you back in Americana. And to understand that people lived small back then. This is nothing new. Nothing new under the sun, right?
Right.
Nothing new. It's just that we're bringing it forward to today.
Sounds like the perfect getaway.
It is. It is. To be nestled between, this is the only tiny house village that you can go to that's nestled between the Atlantic Ocean and Chesapeake Bay. We have a beach right 3 minutes away, right there on the Chesapeake Bay, in a small town that has the small town charm with modern amenities.
Wow.
You can ride around our small town in a golf cart. Most people prefer to ride their golf carts around than drive their cars.
It just makes sense. A lot quieter, right?
It is. It is. But you just feel that comfortable. You feel, you know, I mean, I'm not going to tell you everybody does it, but a lot of people just sleep with the doors open.
Sure.
Right.
It's a different world. It's a different world. And yeah, what an incredible opportunity you all are creating to invite people into that world and experience it. I know you had talked about prior to this call on the phone with me about the future plans. You currently have 10 tiny homes. Yes. Is there plans to add more units?
It is, because during the process of renovating and clearing the trees, we got a call, well, not a call, but a message through Facebook. This is the granddaughter of the original owners.
Wow.
Yeah, she came out, introduced herself to us, gave us this card. It was a postcard of what it looked like originally. And I'm looking at the card going, wow, I graduated kindergarten with honors. I count 14 tiny houses. I guess they did that just for marketing purposes to make it look bigger.
Right.
She goes, no, if you clear these trees over here to the left, you'll see there's 4 more foundations.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 4 more foundations we didn't even know was there.
Talk about the perfect story of like reutilizing what we've already built, someone's past dream board, someone's past dream vision, and bringing it back to life. Yes. Eric, that is incredible. And we are so excited to maybe see it in soon. One day in the future, we'd love to have it featured on the Discover Virginia podcast. Yes. But in the meantime, we got some rapid fire questions to jump through. Sound good?
Fair enough.
Perfect. All right, Eric. We're going to light things up just a little bit. Rapid fire questions. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Ooh, pray.
Is there a certain prayer or maybe psalm that you go to or frequent?
No. Dear God, give me strength and understanding. Allow me to see what other people can't see.
Lovely. Do you have a favorite spot to visit in Cape Charles?
The beach.
The beach?
Now, it's a certain spot on the beach.
Sure, that you can't tell us about.
Top secret, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top secret. Catching our sunrises on the Atlantic Ocean. There's a spot over there I go to. And then in the evenings, I catch the sunsets on the Chesapeake Bay. I'm a blessed guy.
Wow.
I'm a blessed guy, man.
Yeah, because it's, correct me for my geographical misnomer here, but it's a peninsula. So you're able to kind of see both the sun setting and rising almost overhead.
Yes,
literally. From the water side to the next side, because it's relatively thin peninsula.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. From water to water.
Absolutely. I'm describing Cape Charles. You guys can look it on a map, you know.
Yeah.
What's the best part of living in a tiny home?
Ooh, let's see. For my wife and I, the best part for me, utilities and maintenance.
What does that look like?
My tiny house is
I'm used to Dominion Energy hit me up every month. What does that look like for you?
My tiny houses very rarely go over $50 a month. And of the 50, half of that's actually the usage. The other part's the delivery fees that go along with it.
Yeah, sure.
But man, I got a list of things that are so great about living in a tiny house is the fact that my wife and I, when we want to go somewhere, we don't have to clean up 3,000 square feet and clean it up and get it ready to rock and roll and worry about it as we're gone. 45 minutes tops, we're done and we're out. And we can be gone for a week and not worry about it.
Wow. What a simpler way of having a household. Yeah.
It is.
What's your favorite food or drink here in the Virginia area, or maybe on the Cape Charles when you're out for lunch?
Let's see. The Shanty, they have this awesome salad over there that I love to get, and the name is leaving me right now. But the Shanty is one of the restaurants in Cape Charles, and there's a salad that they make that is just so awesome. And right now the name is just blowing out of my head. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries. You have to check it out for yourselves, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received about running a business?
Ooh. Don't take it too seriously. Yeah, I know that's
Really?
That's completely opposite of what you're taught to do.
Yeah.
And the person who told it to me was, you're running it based upon you. Run it based upon your customers. Give your customers what they want.
Yeah.
We so much want to give our customers what we want to give them.
Right. Yeah. Because we think we know what's best for our customers.
That's right.
Right.
Listen to your customers. Don't be so serious that you're trying to give them what you want. Listen to them and give them what they want.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yes.
And on the subject of business, I know that you have an upcoming event here at the end of the month. I wanted to definitely shout out, because in addition to managing and operating your tiny home motel, which is great for our folks out there who want to come and visit Eastern Shore and Cape Charles, but you also have something for the business owners out there as well, how to go about managing and operating your short-term rentals.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about what folks can expect for you at the end of the month and where they can go to participate in that event?
So on Eventbrite, there's an event we're doing called Talking Tiny. Now, it's called Talking Tiny because I've started a speaking career. I've spoken in California and Charlotte Motor Speedway and such that nature. And my wife has been trying to get me to do this for years.
Sure.
But we're having like an open house to where that I'll actually speak to people about tiny living. We're going to have experts that will answer some of the burning questions about living tiny, as well as I'll be there as well. So what we're going to dive into is where to buy a tiny house, where to place a tiny house, and the legalities of where to put a tiny house in the modulars versus park model versus this versus that, and experts in different phases of that. And we're going to have, what makes my event so unique is, unlike being inside of a pavilion or something of that nature, we're on our tiny house village. We're going to have RVs, we're going to have park models, we're going to have tiny houses on wheels. We're going to have some tiny houses for sale out there that people are bringing on wheels. So it's a culmination of education and fun. We're going to talk, and I'm specifically going to talk more about how to run short-term rentals. See, during our transition from living in the big house to the small house, we wound up opening 19 Airbnb listings.
Wow.
Before we owned the tiny house hotel.
All during the COVID era, post-COVID, right?
Right. Post-COVID, during COVID.
Yeah.
And we ran them remotely from our RV.
Phenomenal. Sounds like it's going to be very informative for our business owners out there who want to dip their toe in the water and check out tiny home living.
Well, and if nothing else, the short-term rental hosts out there, they can come here and see it live and see the different things that we do. And we have a VIP session later that evening where they get to talk directly to me. It's sort of intimate, and we actually answer their questions as a short-term rental host. What things to do and not to do, and how did I scale from 1 to 19 in 4 years and then to a tiny house hotel?
Absolutely. A lot to look forward to with you, Eric. Thank you so much for your time. Is that your phone? Is that your phone ringing? You can just mute it, Michael.
Just mute it.
Is someone calling you?
Of course they are, all the time.
Yeah. Who are your friends? Is they any guests that we can have on the show with you next?
Well, Moron 1 and Moron 2. Moron 3. Moron 1 and Moron 3.
Moron 1 and Moron 3?
Yeah. Interesting dudes, man. I love them to death.
Yeah.
They keep me on my toes.
We all need friends like that. Absolutely.
They call during interviews all the time.
Yeah, well, it's I've heard about that.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Moron 1 and Moron 3, I think you mentioned a story earlier about some particular gummies that you had partaken in. Yeah. Would you mind indulging us on the story?
Sure.
It's really funny.
So, good friend of mine, we share office space together right next door to one another. Go figure. And he had this candy. I like to raid his office and take his stuff. And he had this candy that he strategically placed on his desk, knowing that I was going to take it. And I ate it, and he came in and goes, "Hey, you like that, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, that's good stuff." He said, he poured some more on the table in the little jar, and I left knowing I'm going to come back and get the rest of them things. And I did. As soon as he left, I grabbed the whole handful, ate them, and about 15 minutes later, my stomach started to bubble. He comes to my window. He just smiling. Apparently, they're sport beans. These beans that you eat right before you go run a race or your runner to get your bowels to move and get to, you know. And my stomach is singing like no one's business. And he just sat there in that window and smiled at me as I ran to the bathroom. What are friends for?
What a great friend. What a great friend.
Yeah. But there you go. I got him.
You got him back? How'd you get him back?
Well, I steal all his stuff all the time now.
That's true.
Right.
You have to check the ingredients though beforehand.
Yeah, I do.
You have to check the ingredients.
I do. We got something planned for him in the next couple of months. I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, if you want it to be more elaborate, let us know how we can help you out.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I sure will, because he's just right behind this building.
Yeah, one of our friends, a past guest, they own an escape room. So if you ever want to,
I love that.
Lock him in a room.
Lock him in a room and see what happens.
Yeah. Turn off the lights and pillow, firm pillows.
Right.
Get him with some firm pillows.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, if Moron 1 and Moron 3 ever want to make a statement, we would love to share it with you.
Fair enough.
Eric, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you for coming down back to Virginia Beach, heading back down memory lane, and hanging out with us down at our wonderful host studio at Atlantic Bay here in Virginia Beach. Your journey and your vision is inspiring, and we are so excited to share that next step in that journey with folks who want to go and check you out.
Yes.
And also to come out and meet your lovely wife and see your amazing homes that you've, I'm going to say built, but rebuilt and reimagined for that next generation of tiny home guests.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, thank you to our dedicated listeners for checking us out on another episode of Discover Virginia. If you've enjoyed this episode, which I know you did, hit that like button and comment and tag Eric, because we want him back, except we want to be in Cape Charles. So if you want to see us go check out these tiny homes, which I really do, my wife would love it. So just comment tiny home down in the comment section below. That way I can give Eric some good ROI and engagement, and we can see you all in Cape Charles very soon.